Okay, very good evening to all my dear friends. This is Dr. Padala Tirupati, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, SRR Government Arts and Science College. Regarding of our CPGET free online coaching, today's our eminent resource person, Dr. Pamuraju Manjula Madam Garu, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Usmania University, Hyderabad. It is a prestigious institution. Better you will get the seat automatically. Manjula Madam will meet you. You will meet Manjula Madam Garu. So she will look after any type of necessity or needy, or even though you will going to enjoy with Madam. Okay, Yamuna and other aspirants. So in this regard, please welcome Madam and share your screen. Start your session, Madam. Please welcome.
Okay, good evening, sir. Good evening. So today's topic is population ecology. Okay, so population ecology. So population ecology means, so generally population means, so it is a group of organisms. So here in population ecology, we are studying about the populations in relation to its environment. So it includes the environmental influences, mainly the population density and distribution of the population, age structure of the population, and variations in the population size. So here the population ecology, it is a study of populations in related to the environment, its environment. So it is called as a population ecology. So generally here two types of populations we can observe, that is a unitary population and modular population. Okay, so unitary population means, so these are mainly composed of the unitary organisms, that is the zygote, which directly develops into an organism. So it is called as a unitary population. And here the form and development are highly stable. And here the examples for this unitary populations are mainly, that is birds, reptiles, insects, and also the mammals. So it is the unitary
Okay. Madam, is there any problem?
So here we are discussing about the types of populations. That is, here two types of populations we can observe, that is the unitary population and modular population. So in unitary population, that is, these are mainly composed of unitary organisms, that is the zygote, which directly develops into an organism. So it is called as the unitary population. So examples for this unitary population is mammals, birds, reptiles, and insects. Whereas the modular population, so another one is a modular population. So here these are mainly composed of modular organisms, that is the zygote, which develops into a unit of construction, which is called as a module, hence the name modular population. So these modules which produce other structures and which gives rise to a branching patterns, that is, for example, here that is embryo development. During the development of the zygote develops into embryo and larvae. So these all comes under the modular population. So mainly we can observe in the plants, hydroids, corals, and sponges. So here the form and development are not predictable because the connecting parts which may be rot or cut off. So due to which, so here they may be live or it may be not predictable. And here these fragments can then live independently as a organism. So these organisms would be genetically identical and they are derived from a single zygote. So they are called as a ramets. So the two types of populations we can observe. Okay. So examples, that is stolons, rhizomes, etc. we can observe in the modular population. So another one is the characteristics of the population. So these are the main characteristics of the population. So again here also we can observe the two types of attributes or characters of population. That is the biological attributes or biological characteristics, and also the group attributes, that is the group characteristics. So here the biological attributes means, so these are the characters here which a population which shares with its component organisms. So they are called as the biological attributes or biological characters. So these includes the life history, that is the population grows, differentiates, and also maintains itself as the organism that does. So it is called as a biological attribute or biological characteristics. And another one is the group attributes. That is, these are the characteristics of the group or species. So these are applicable only to the population. So these includes these all comes under the group attributes, that is population size, density, dispersion patterns. So these all comes under the group attributes or group characteristics. So these are about the these are the group characteristics or group attributes, that is mainly we can consider these are the characteristics of the population, that is the population size, population density, dispersion patterns, and demographics, survivalship curves, and population growth. So first one is the population, that is population size. First characteristic, that is the population size. So in population genetics and also in the population ecology, so this population size, which is denoted by the N, capital N, and it is the number of individual organisms in a population. So here the population size is nothing but that is the number of individuals in a population, which constitute the population size. So for this size of the population, which can also be again governed by these factors like crude birth rate, that is CBR, crude death rate, that is CDR, immigration and emigration. So these are the main factors which mainly influence the size of the population. So these may helps in the increasing the population size, or it may also helps in the decreasing the population size. That is mainly this birth rate and immigration, which mainly helps in increase the population size, whereas the death rate and emigration, which mainly helps in decreasing the population size. So here this birth rate, that is nothing but the natality, so which is the ratio of total live births to the total population in a particular area over a specified period of time. So it is called as a natality or birth rate. So which mainly helps in the increasing the population size. Next one is the mortality. So that is the death rate. So which is also as the ratio of the total number of deaths to the total population. It is called as a mortality. So immigration, that is the number of organisms moving into the area which is occupied by the population, that is they are coming, due to which it is also helps in the mainly this immigration, which also helps in the increase the population size. Okay, so next one is the immigration, that is they are moving out of the area which is occupied by the population. It is called as a immigration. So this it mainly helps in the decreasing the population size. So these are the mainly four factors which influence the size of the population. So birth rate and immigration, which mainly helps in the increase the population size, whereas death rate and emigration, so which mainly helps in decreasing the population size. So that is here also some factors which may also influence this birth rate. So natality, that is the rate of production of new individuals by birth, mainly humans and animals, and generally birth, that is it may takes place in generally in humans and animals, whereas hatching generally takes place in the birds, and germination that takes place in the plants or by fission in the bacteria. So here increasing the population which may takes place through these processes. So the birth rate, which may be expressed as the number of individuals born per female per unit time. So birth rate or natality, that is a number of birth per unit time by average population. So this is the equation of birth rate or natality, that is number of births per unit time by divided by the average population. So generally here the birth rate, which is denoted by capital B. And here the maximum number of births given by the individual, mainly here in female. So under the standard conditions of the environment, it is called as a potential natality. Okay, so potential natality means that is the maximum number of births given by the individual under standard conditions, that is under the favorable conditions of the environment. So it is called as the potential natality. So this is also important, and it is also known as the reproductive potential or maximum natality or absolute natality. So this is also known as the reproductive potential or maximum natality or also absolute natality. So this natality, that is this birth rate, which also again varies from the individual to individuals. So it depends upon the population density and also the environmental conditions also. So if the population density is low, if less number of organisms are there, so the birth rate is also low because of in few individuals, and if it is too high the birth rate, it may also be low because of the scarcity of the resources and also the spread of diseases and other physiological reasons. So there are again two terms which are used to define the natality, that is physiological natality and or fecundity, and another one is the ecological natality. So physiological natality or fecundity means, so it is the maximum production of new individuals under ideal conditions. So when there is a no ecological limiting factor, such as competition with the other individuals or availability of resources, like mainly these resources mainly includes of food and water. So it is the constant for a given population. So it is called as a physiological natality or fecundity. Another one is the ecological natality. That is, it is also called as a realized natality or just natality. So which is the number of individuals produced under a specific environmental condition. So it is also called as the fertility rate. So the degree of physical constraints in an ecosystem which also varies with time and also the space. Thus, this ecological natality is not constant for a population. Whereas here physiological natality, it is constant for a given population. Whereas this ecological natality, it is not constant for a population. So this is the equation, that is delta n, capital N, small n. So that is the production of new individuals in the population, and delta n by n by delta t. So that is the natality rate per unit time, and here delta n by n and delta t, that is a specific natality rate. That is natality rate per unit of population. So here the capital N means that is the initial number of organisms, and small n means new individuals in the population, and T is the given time. So this is about the natality. So next one is the mortality. So here the mortality, that means death of the individuals in the population. So under certain environmental conditions. So it refers to the number of deaths of the individuals in a population per unit time. So it also has a great role in the regulating the population size. If the mortality rate is increases, the population size is decreases. Okay, so mortality rate, that is D by T, that is D is the number of deaths of the individuals in the given time T. So mortality may also following the, it also has two types. So here the mortality rate, which is denoted by capital D. So here also two types, that is the minimum mortality and ecological or realized mortality. So here the minimum mortality means it is also known as the specific or potential mortality. That is, it represents the theoretical minimum loss of the individuals under favorable conditions. So here, and though here also environmental conditions are ideal, but the individuals would die because of their old age. So even though here the conditions are favorable, but they can die. So it is called as minimum mortality. Another one is the ecological or realized mortality. So it is represented by actual loss of the individuals under a given environmental condition, and it is not constant for the population. but it also varies with the population and also the environmental conditions. That is, if the environmental conditions favor, so they can live. So the maximum mortality, which is observed at the initial stages of the development, like larval stage or egg, seedling stage in the plants or old age. So it is also a constant for a given population. So these are the again two types, that is minimal mortality and ecological or realized mortality. So several environmental conditions also, such as population density, competition for the food and water, predation, diseases, etc. So this also affect the mortality. So birth rate and mortality rate are correlated with each other. When the natality rate is equal to the mortality rate, so the population is said to be stationary. So this is about the first one, that is the population size. So the factors that increase the population size. So generally, natality, that is it recruitment to the population through the reproduction and immigration from the external population. So through natality and immigration, here the population size is increasing. And the factors which reducing the population size are, that is mortality, so which is the death rate from any source, example predation. So immigration, where the individuals they leave the population for another habitat, they will move from that place, so due to which here the population size is decreases. So for example, here the birds, so here the due to births and immigration, the population size is increases. When they are moved, immigration are due to death, so here the population size is decreases. So this is about the first character, that is the population size. That is population change is equal to birth plus immigration minus death plus emigration. So these parameters which affect the size or density of the population. Second characteristic, that is the population density. So population density means, so it is a measurement of the number of people in an area. So it is an average number. So generally, which is also shown as a number of people per square kilometer. Okay, so here the density is equal population by area. Under particular area, we are taken into consideration. So that is the population density, which also refers to the size of the population, and it is the average number of the individuals per unit area or volume of a habitat. So for example, here 200 oak trees which are present at a per hectare. So in an area of hectare, so here 200 oak trees are present. So the density of this oak trees is 200, like that. So here the 100 insects per 100 square meter are 4 million diatoms which are present in a cubic meter of water. So like this, that is the number of individuals they are present in particular area. So population density, which also changes over a time and space. So it is a basic relative measure of how an organism, which is respond to the local environment and is mainly typically implied as a population density. So the density, which will be of low if conditions are unfavorable. So if the unfavorable conditions are there, so the population density is low, which it automatically decreases. So organisms will be perished or emigrated out. But high, if conditions are favorable, so the organisms will be reproduced or immigrated into the area. They will come to that area. So the changes in the density can also reveal the information about the history of the species, preference, and also the tolerance of the individuals of the species. So this is the second one, population density. So the dynamics of the most of the populations of these organisms, which mainly influenced by the combined action of the density dependent factors and also the density independent factors. So here again, that the population of the organisms mainly dependent on the density dependent and density independent factors. So the relative effects of the factors which vary among the population. So the density dependent factors are in the ecology are any force that affects the size of the population of a species in response to the density of the population. So these factors, which also called as the regulating factors, because of their potential for controlling the density. So here, for example, here the competition for food, water, and habitat rises. So among the individuals of the population, so with increase in the population density. So however, the density decreases uh, as the effect of the density dependent factors also decreases as the competition for food, water, and shelter becomes less for few individuals. So it is density dependent factors, independent factors. So this density dependent factors of the environment are, which may be physical factors, that they do not depend upon the density of the population. So these factors mainly which differ the depending on the population, and also which affects its regardless of its size. So these depending factors which affects the regardless to its size. So mainly the temperature or natural disorders. So even though here the size may high, but they can be uh, they can influence here. So the temperature or natural disorders or pollution or availability of the oxygen in the atmosphere. These are the density independent factors, so which affect the individuals of the population regardless of the density of the population. So here that is density dependent and density independent. So need to estimate. So for population density, so estimation of the population density mainly to these estimations are mainly for the comparison between the different population in terms of space and also for the time measures. So here the two attributes, that is mobility and size. Mainly this population density that is based on the movement of these organisms and also the size. So small animals or plants, they are usually more abundant than the large animals and plants. So another one is the measurement of density. So here we can, that is the number of individuals per unit area. So generally here the density, it is measured by two methods mainly. That is the total count method and sampling method. So again, in total count method, so again here three types. That is the direct counting of the population, are possible for the general, it is for the few animals, possible for few animals, are breeding colonies which can be photographed then later counted. So here the for the total count methods, here the two types are there for the counting or estimate the density. That is the direct counting of the population. Second one is the breeding colonies can be photographed and then counted. So here counting the number of individuals which are present in that area. So examples for this total count method are human population census and trees which are present in a given area. We can easily count. So another one is the sampling method. So generally, this sampling method which is used for the small sized organisms, or we cannot count directly. So in that in that time, so we can use this sampling method. So which is mainly depends on the type of the organism and its natural abundance and also the distribution. So again here in sampling method also, here two methods, that is plot based method or quadrant method, and another one is the capture based method. So in quadrant method or sampling method, so generally it is widely used for the plant studies, mainly for the small sized herbs and shrubs, small sized plants. So we can use this quadrant method, whereas for the large size we can directly count the number of trees. So for the herbs and shrubs we can use this quadrant method, that is the total population is equal to average number per quadrant and to, into total area divided by area of quadrant. So in this quadrant method, so we can take some places, and here by counting, so by making into plots, the areas are separated and they are making into plots, and we can count the species which are present in that area. So another one is the mark recapture method. So in this which is generally used for the very mobile or elusive species. We cannot count directly. So for this, so we can mark the organisms with some what you called some stickers like that, so we can count. So here the marks, we can give some marks to that organisms and we can count. So first it is used by C.G. Peterson to estimate the fish abundance, because these fishes, they cannot be constant, so they continuously move. So hence for this mobile species we can use this mark recapture method. So this is about the population density and what are the characteristics and factors which influence the population density and measurements of the population density. So next characteristic, that is the population dispersion. So population